Hello guys, I got both of these recently and I wanted to do just a quick comparison between two KOs, the IT-01 Emperor of Destruction versus just a straight KO. These are both the recent releases, so I wanted to go over, like if you're deciding to get one of these, I wanted to go over the plus and minuses for each. So sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy. So on the left, we have the IT, and on the right, we'll have the KO throughout the video. And as I mentioned in the beginning, these are the KOs, and I just bought these. I got these in 2024. So in terms of recent batches, I know the IT has been out for a while. I've owned several, and I don't know if it's the same company, but I do know that I've owned several of these and they've all, I don't think I've ever had one that was perfect. They've all had QC issues, whether it was minor or sometimes it was a bit major. I had one that was pretty sloppy. The paint was awful. It was bad. And so again, I don't know. It could be another company took it over because they've been around for a while. But this one also has its share of QC issues that we'll go over a little bit later. And on the right, I think this is a brand new KO because I never owned the original KOs, or if I know there've been multiple companies. I don't know how that works. But what I can say is that the KO that I used to see when the MP36 came out, the face sculpt was a dead giveaway. You could tell that that was a KO. I'm sure there were other telltale signs, but it was pretty easy to spot one. This one, you can still spot it, is my guess. I've never owned the MP36, the original, but as I go through the video, you'll see some of the things here that kind of give this one away. But just compared in general to the original, this one is better in a lot of ways, and they did fix the face sculpt. However, that face sculpt is not perfect, and we'll see why here in just a second. So again, this is probably a brand new company or somebody doing their take on the official MP36. So next, let's weigh them just to kind of see how they compare. I'm gonna go ahead and get this in here. Get that in there. Okay, so let me start with, I'll show you here just a little bit. It was kind of hard to see, but I'm gonna start with IT. So he weighs, I don't know if you can see in there, 1 pound, 7.7 ounces, and 503 grams. Just kind of going there through the thing. Okay. Now let me weigh the KO. So way less, 437 grams, and there you go. And you can feel it too, just when you first grab these. Let me move this out of the way. This one feels cheap, like the plastic to me. You know, there's something about it. It feels like a KO. I don't know, it just has this cheap feeling to it. It doesn't feel like any of the other third-party or official products that I have. This one feels a little bit more solid in terms of just the plastic. We'll talk about ratchets and all that in a little bit. But this one just does feel heavier. It does help that it does have die cast right here. You'll notice, which is cool. I just wish it was the same color. I could be wrong, but I could have swore that my original, this was all one color, but I could be wrong. I don't remember. It was such a long time ago. I don't have them anymore. When I had the original IT. This is die cast. They both have die cast feet, as you can see. But the overall, another thing that they have different is just going to be the paint or the aesthetic that they have. The IT kind of looks unpainted. It does have like this sparkly effect to it, but you can barely see it. You can see it on the die cast. You can see it somewhat on his shins. His feet do have it. It glosses a little bit more. But in terms of the gray plastic, it just looks like gray plastic. This one, he looks painted top to bottom. So just not picking them up, not just looking at them, the KO looks more premium. And except for one difference, which I'll point out here in just a little bit, but you can just see it has more sparkle to it. I don't know if it's plastic or painted, but there is a different sheen to it. You may like that, you may not like it, but I think it looks a little bit more premium in my opinion. It looks solid. That being said, however, the face sculpts, I do think the IT's is way better. It's not even close. It just, the detail, his red eyes pop, and that can make all the difference. That can make up for the gray plastic. It's that good. So when I think about which one I want in bot mode or which one I want in alt mode, that head sculpt plays a part. I did try swapping it, but the paint differences, it doesn't mesh well. But this one, there's a line that goes through his mouth and his eyes aren't as red. It may look like they are, but they're not. There is a difference. I don't know if I can get both of them to zoom in. The IT's is way better. And you'd have to see it in person. But the IT head sculpts are a lot better. Okay, so let's talk about QC. I've owned several of the IT, and they've always had QC issues, at least for me, whether it's minor or sometimes I feel like it's a little major. It just depends. This one is no different. It's not perfect, but but I'm not disappointed. I mean, it's a KO. I mean, you get what you get. I got them for, I think, under 100. So I'm okay with that. The fact that it transforms, it's not a biggie, but here's some of the things that I think, or the swivel right here, it's really loose, his waist swivel. When you go over here, I mean, this one is tight, which is gonna be a common theme. The joints on this one are a lot tighter than this one in general. And then also right here, this has been a common one for me. This right here will fall out pretty easily. I could just be moving them and stuff or playing with them, and then it'll just pop out. And I own versions where that doesn't happen. So that just kind of, that's loose. Those are the two things that I noticed. I've had some before where the paint is terrible, like on the red parts. Now, going back to the paint, I forgot to mention, I will say the reds on the IT are better. I like the reds. It's better painted and it pops better versus the reds on here. They're a little bit more dull versus the KO. Forgot to mention that, but anyhow, yeah, those are the two QC issues that I noticed on this one. Oh, and the head is not as tight as the KO. Okay, on the KO, the only, other than not being painted perfectly, like here, there's like a little, other than just cosmetic stuff, I'm not gonna go over cosmetic. I'm just going over like joints or panels or something that might be broken, but it's this right here, his thigh swivel is really loose. So, and again, for some people, this is minor, right? Because these are easy fixes. When I say really loose, it's not gonna like, it's not gonna do anything. But I mean, compared to like the IT or other ones that I've owned, like this one is really tight, turning the thigh swivel. So those are the QC issues, but those come with the territory when you're buying a KO. I mean, that is what it is. I mean, you have to come to expect that. So now I want to go over their joints and articulation real quick. I'm not going to go over it, but I'm just going to go over like their main articulation. So this is his arm. It's a ratchet. Can't hear it. That's just a friction. A little loose, not too loose. We talked about his waist, so same on the other side. His head's a little bit loose. The cannon is loose on both. You can see that thing popping out. But just to give you an idea on, I mean, they feel pretty good. I mean, that's not bad. Again, I'm going in terms of being a KO. It's not bad at all. Now here's this one. I don't know if you notice the difference. This one's a lot louder than the IT. I mean, it's not even close. Watch. And the resistance is greater on the KO. More solid. Even that one. They're just a little bit more, again, other than the thigh swivel, every other joint, oh, and then the feet. Let me see, let me do the IT. Feet are pretty similar, maybe a little bit better on the KO. All the joints feel better on the KO. If I had to pick one in terms of just joints, it would be the KO. If I had to pick one over just the overall aesthetic, just without picking them up, just looking at them, I think the KO looks better. But I will say that I think that face sculpt makes up for it a lot. It does cut some of the gap because it's just better than this head sculpt. It's not as good, in my opinion, but so yeah, I mean, that's kind of, and by the way, they both come with the exact same accessories. I didn't pull those out because I didn't think those were as important as just overall looking at these two. So before we talk about transformation, I pulled out the other face sculpts, and I wanted to show you how bad the KO heads were. So let me see. The one on the right is the KO. You can see the eyes aren't even fully painted. And then the one on the left is the IT. So I just wanted to show that. Here's this one isn't as bad, but I think they look better in person, or it's easier to tell, spot the difference. And then here, so there's more of a gloss on the IT. Okay, so let's talk about the transformation. So right before I was gonna transform them into gun mode, I was going to transform this one. I had decided to keep the IT in robot mode and then have the KO in alt mode. So I started the transformation, and the reason being was I like the head sculpt better on this one, even though I kind of like the overall look of this one. But when I started transforming this guy, I don't know if it's the material that he's made out of, the paint, And remember how I mentioned everything is just tighter? It just did not start out fun. Everything was extremely tight. The back was fine. You know, when you first start transforming him, one of the first few steps that you have to do is rotate this and pin it up against his head. That was extremely tight. So when I decided, you know what, this is just not gonna be fun. And then when I try to clip these two parts together, it just would not clip in. And this was like one of the first steps. And I don't know if it's the tolerances because of the material or the paint. I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go over to the IT, I'm gonna try that one. And I have transformed this KO before, not this one, but others that I've owned, and I've done it successfully. I don't remember it being that bad. I guess I could have probably muscled through it. So I decided to go with the IT, and I'm glad I did. It was a way better experience. It was smooth. Everything clipped in as I was going through the process. And it's a fun transformation. I love this transformation. The only thing, this right here is really loose. I don't know what you call this thing, but his cannon. But everything, other than that, everything clipped in perfectly. And I guess maybe because of the IT's material, maybe the lack of paint or whatever they decide to use or their tolerances is just a lot better. And I'm not saying that the KO won't transform. It was just not as fun or as easy as this one. And I mean, every panel fell perfectly. Look, here's his waist. I've had some where this won't clip in just right. It'll pop out just a little bit, or maybe this part right here just doesn't stay in, but nope, everything came in or tapped in perfectly. And so that was my experience. So this will be my gun mode, and then that will be my robot mode. You know, in conclusion, I have to say that, I mean, it's up to you, honestly, what you want to get out of your Megs. You know, this one, I think I paid like $83 for this one, shipped. This one, I may have paid like 87, maybe 90, a little bit more. They both have their QC issues. They're both not perfect, but they still come across and then still deliver an awesome MP36. So, but I hope this video gives you or makes your decision a little bit easier. They both have their pluses, they both have their negatives, and they both make great Megatrons, whether it's in robot mode or gun mode, and I highly recommend both. So thanks for watching.